Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy CJ Beasley here, back for my Week 4 battle of the RWL. This week we are taking on RoseradeGod, the coach of the Roseville Roserades. He is a very good battler. I don't think he has any links, but he's a really good battler, a really strong opponent to face this week, and his team is looking really tough, to be honest, against mine. So let's just hop right into it. So the first team, the team we see is Heatran, Suicune, Tornadus I, Nidoqueen, Dodrio, Grumpig, Bulu, Tapu Bulu, Weavile, Tracheon, Zebstrika, and Mega Altaria. Just looking at his team, I know that Heatran, I don't really have the best switch-ins to it, especially if it's like something like Z Solar Beam or something like that. So that can be an issue. Other things I see are Nidoking is really good against my team. Don't really have the best switches to that thing. Unless if it's choice, which is best case scenario if it's choice in some way. Other things, Weavile is a really big threat. Bulu is a really big threat. So his team is honestly really scary against mine. So I kind of had to build around those threats. But let's see what I got. So first thing I noticed is that my Greninja is going to be really good here. So I brought Greninja with the Poisonium Z, Surf, Grass Knot, Gunk Shot, and Workup. With 12 HP, 96 attack, 52 defense, 204 special attack, and then 172 speed with a naive nature. So what this allows me to do, this is pretty much my win con, my game sweeper. So Surf, Grass Knot, and Gunk Shot pretty much hits everything on this team. Poisonium Z is for like bulky Mega Altarias or something like that. Also, like if I don't want to miss a Gunk Shot against like a Tapu Bulu or something, I can just click that freely. Grass Knot is primarily just there for the Suicune, and Surf hits pretty much everything else that Grass Knot and Gunk Shot don't. So once I get to +1 with Workup on special attack and attack, after Stealth Rocks, this pretty much gets everything. The only thing that would outspeed it is a max speed Zebstrika, but I don't expect him to bring it. And if he's trying to speed creep with Zebstrika on my Glade, then I'll outspeed a speed creeping Zebstrika. So I thought that was enough speed. And Weavile will obviously outspeed as it does naturally. But the bulk is here to live a banded low kick from a Weavile. So that's what that 12 HP and 52 defense is for. It also lives a life orb low kick after Stealth Rock, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, so like I said, Surf pretty much hits everything at +1 and gets everything. Grass Knot at +1, it does about 65% to a Suicune. So if I can click Nature's Madness, let's say, or something, or just get it down to about the 50% range, Greninja can pretty much put in work. Setup fodder being like Heatran, Suicune is setup fodder, as long as he's not a calm mindset. Nidoking can be setup fodder, just depends. But yeah, and so like I said, this set is pretty much my setup sweeper this week. So hopefully he can put in the work. Next up, we got Angel, our Jirachi, with Leftovers, Serene Grace, Iron Head, Heart Stamp, U-Turn, and Thunderwave. With 244 HP, 4 attack, 12 defense, 108 special defense, and 140 speed with a Jolly Nature. This outspeeds a max speed Nidoking, I'm sorry. Hard Stamp is obviously for the Nidoking, as it is really a big threat to my team. Like nothing really wants to switch in on Thunderwave or Sludge Wave, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam all combined. Nothing really wants to switch in on those. And Earth Power. So I'd be really careful for that. So I wanted some coverage for it. So I got the Heart Stamp on here for it. Iron Head's for the Tapu Bulu. U-Turn's just for good pivot. And Thunderwave is pretty much, it hits everything as long as I'm not in Train or Nidoking doesn't come in. And this defensive EV spread is basically to take on Mega Altaria and Tapu Bulu. This can live an Adamant Wood Hammer. It can take 3 Adamant. I'm sorry, no, it can't take 3. It's a 3-hit KO from Adamant Wood Hammer. unless if he's choice banded, but I'll outspeed if he's choice banded anyways. And I can click Ironhead, and hopefully get the flinch or just get enough chip on it so something else can come in. This also can take like a Fire Blast from a special Mega Altaria. It can take an Earthquake from a +1 Mega Altaria, stuff like that. And Thunder Wave really just cripples his team really well, just getting the speed. And it also helps my Greninja just to set up later. So this Jirachi set is looking really good. During my mocks, it was this and Greninja really put in the most work. So I expect them to do that here. So next up, we got Tapu Fini with the leftovers, Surf, Moonblast, Nature's Madness, and Haze with 236 HP, 196 defense with a Bold Nature, and 76 special defense. This thing pretty much, like, the coverage it has hits everything on its team neutrally. Surf can catch things like Heatran. I guess Heatran doesn't really want to switch in, but it can catch things like Nidoking on the switch in, or just does decent damage to it. Moonblast is there for the things that resist water. Nothing really resists water, but it's better coverage for like Altaria and stuff like that. Nature's Madness just cuts everything's HP in half. And the Haze, since this is pretty much my only Suicune, Calm Mind Suicune answer, and it's also really good against like things like Weavile. It's not really good against Weavile, but it can take a Poison Jab from a Banded Weavile, and can deal big damage with Surf or Moonblast. And then, so like I said, this is my pretty much my only answer to a Calm Mind Suicune. So I have Haze there. I gotta be really careful about clicking Nature's Madness, especially if he's at full HP, because Nature's Madness into Mirror Coat will one-shot me. So I gotta be really careful about that. But besides that, this has pretty much can stop all forms of Suicune. So yeah, so this was a really good bulky, just a bulky mon that's pretty much annoying. He doesn't really have best switch-ins to this. His best switch-in is pretty much Suicune, but like I wall that thing. Like I'm intended to wall that thing. So yeah, so this Tapu Fini set's looking really good this week. Next up, we got Wasp, our Ribombee, with Focus Sash, Shield Dust, Moonblast, Hidden Power Ground, Quiver Dance, and Sticky Webs with 52 HP, 4 defense, 4 special defense, max special attack, and 196 speed with a Timid Nature. This outspeeds Zebstrika all the time, even if he's max speed. Because I didn't really need the bulk, so I just wanted to put in as much speed and a special attack as I wanted to, since I'm Focus Sash. Moonblast plus Hidden Power Ground hits pretty much everything. A +1 Hidden Power Ground 2 shots a bulky Heatran and bulky Nidoking, so I thought that was good. This like last week, it's not really as setup sweeper, but it can be. The Sticky Web is primarily what it's here for, but the Quiver Dance is nice. Just to pressure things, and kind of make it harder for him to work around this thing. So I thought those were really good. So yeah, so Moonblast and Hidden Power Ground pretty much just hits everything, but Sticky Web is primary move it'll be clicking. Unless if he doesn't really bring like Zebstrika or Weavile or stuff like that I really want to slow down. So yeah, so I thought this set was really good this week. And so yeah, so next up we got Dark Knight, our Gliscor, with the Toxic Orb, Poison Heal, like always, Earthquake, Ice Fang, U-Turn, and Stealth Rocks, with 132 HP, 156 attack with an Adamant Nature, 4 defense, 4 special defense, and 212 speed. This outspeeds Nidoking, if he's a max speed Nidoking, I believe. So Earthquake pretty much hits everything on his team. Bulu obviously can take it with Grassy Terrain. Tornadus can obviously, since it's off the ground, and Dodrio. But that's why we have the Ice Fang here. I was going back and forth between Ice Fang and Poison Jab, but Ice Fang I just thought was better for like Tornadus and Dodrio, stuff like that, just to get bigger damage off than just Poison Jab. And most of the time I'll just be U-turning out anyways, just getting good momentum. And then the Stealth Rocks is good because Stealth Rocks is primarily a part of my Greninja strategy to set up Stealth Rocks and then sweep with Greninja, because after Stealth Rocks, nothing really wants to take a Greninja hit at +1. So Stealth Rocks were vital here. So I couldn't let this thing really go down before I got up Stealth Rocks, so I had to be really smart with this thing. So yeah, so like I said, Earthquake hits everything. Ice Fang is for stuff like Bulu, Dodrio, Tornadus, and U-Turn is just for good pivot, and the Stealth Rocks, obviously. This bulk doesn't really do much. The 156 attack, I believe, makes it so I can two-shot Tornadus all the time. It also gets bulky Heatran, bulky Nidoking, stuff like that. So I thought that was good. And then, yeah, so the speed and the attack were my primary EV sources, and the rest was just kind of poured into HP and then a little bit into the defenses. So yeah, so this set's going to be really good. Hopefully I can get up Stealth Rocks with it. Tornadus is pretty annoying for the Stealth Rocks aspect, as it does have Prankster Defog. So I'm going to have to make sure this thing is alive longer than the Tornadus, basically, unless I realize he's more of an offensive set. So yeah. And last but not least, we got Deathstroke, the Gallade, with the Gallade obviously justified. Zen Headbutt, Drain Punch, Poison Jab, and Taunt. With 180 HP, 4 attack, 244 defense, 4 special defense, and 76 speed with the Jolly Nature. So this is a really weird set, but let me explain. So basically, nothing on my team really wants to switch in on a Banded Weavile. Except for like maybe Top Affinity if I know what he's going for. But this thing is pretty much my primary switch into it. So basically what it does is it can live a knockoff before Mega Evolving plus a knockoff after Mega Evolving from a Banded Weavile most of the time, and then hit it with a big Drain Punch and get me up to +1. The speed is for outspeeding Nidoking. Like I said, that thing's a really big threat, so I really wanted to outspeed that thing and click Zen Headbutt. I did have Will-O-Wisp on this, which was primarily for the Weavile and the Tapu Bulu, but I realized doing the mocks that like I don't really ever click it, because Tapu Bulu and Weavile I have 4 times super effective coverage, so I'm never really going to either click Will-O-Wisp on those guys anyways. So I didn't really think it was necessarily needed, so I dropped it for Zen Headbutt, because originally it was Drain Punch, Poison Jab, Will-O-Wisp, and Taunt. And Taunt's just good for things like Suicune, thinking I'm set up fodder, stuff like that. Altaria, thinking I'm set up fodder, I can taunt that thing if I'm getting low or whatever. So yeah, so this set's pretty weird, but shoutouts to Manbird for helping me build this set. Hopefully it works. I expect it to work. It's really good against the Weavile if he brings it. But yeah, I'm actually like really excited to use this set, and I really hope it works. But anyways, guys, let's stop talking and let's just get right into this battle against RoseradeGod. Alrighty, guys, so we're back. So here we see him bring the Tornadus, the Suicune, Nidoking. We see the Heatran, Grumpig, and Altaria. So surprising things. I did not expect the Grumpig. I also expected Bulu to come and Weavile, but Tornadus and Nidoking were kind of like the maybe picks. But like it wasn't really surprising that they came. It was more surprising the things that he dropped. Like Weavile and Bulu were really good. Maybe Bulu's understandable, but Weavile I thought would definitely come, but he chose not to bring it. So just looking at his team, I know that Sticky Webs aren't as important as they used to be, since he doesn't have really that fast of Mons. Because the fastest thing he brought was Nidoking at 85. Besides Tornadus, obviously, but my Greninja outspeeds on less of his Scarfed. So webs really aren't that important here. So I'm not going to lead webs. And I was thinking, I'm like, Weavile's not here, so my Gallade isn't that great. It still can do some stuff, but it's not as good as it used to be. So I'll just lead it, I was just thinking, I'm like, I don't really want to lead Gliscor. In case if he's like a Choice Scarf Nidoking and leads that and clicks Ice Beam turn 1. I don't really want to lead Finny. I could have led Finny, but I didn't really want to get unnecessary damage on it. I obviously don't want to lead Greninja as that's my win con. I want to preserve that as long as I can. And I could have led Jirachi, but a Scarfed Nidoking also is like a problem. Heatran would have also been a problem, kind of put me on the back foot. So I decided to lead Gallade. The only bad lead matchup I had with leading Gallade was either the Grumpig wasn't really that big of a deal, but mainly the Tornadus. So as long as he doesn't lead Tornadus here, we'll be good. So yeah, so like I said, I'm going to lead my Gallade. We'll hop right into this. So yeah, so he actually does lead his Tornadus, which is super unfortunate for me, as I do lead the Glade. So I know, even though I'm kind of bulky, a Hurricane will still get me. But I didn't think he would go for Hurricane, but I still decided to switch out. I knew he was pretty much going to go for U-turn, so that's why I go into my Jirachi here. And even if he did go for the Hurricane, I could resist it. But yeah, like I said, he does go for the U-turn, which was expected, but I didn't really want to risk my Gallade, as it could handle things like Heatran and stuff like that. So here he's going to go into his Heatran. And I either expect a like Magma Storm or Lava Plume or something like that, or Stealth Rocks. So here I get a free U-turn, unless if he's Choice Scarfed, he would have sped. And that would have been good information either way. And I'm just going to go into my Gliscor. I know I can pressure this thing with an Earthquake, as he does go for the Stealth Rocks. So pretty much his only switch into an Earthquake is the Tornadus. So he's going to switch out, obviously. He doesn't want to risk his Heatran here. And he actually goes out into his Suicune, which is kind of perfect for me. We do see like the pressure coming off, obviously. And I do just set up my Stealth Rocks here, as I did expect him to switch out. And even if he went to Tornadus, it would force a Defog. So here I can just U-turn out, go right into my Finny, as I know I'll outspeed this thing as well. It does do a decent chunk, but off the calcs, I realized that he's pretty much max HP, max special, or max physical defense. It's still kind of hard to tell, just because that did so little. Then he goes for the Scald here, and based off that Scald damage, I learned he doesn't really have any special attack investment at all, which even further like shows that he's most likely max HP, max physical defense. And so he goes for Scald. We both get our leftovers back. After leftovers, Scald doesn't really do much. And here he's going to go out to his Grumpig. And he doesn't really have a switch into Nature's Madness at this point. And even if he clicked Mirror Coat, it wouldn't have... Or would it... I don't believe it would have KO'd me from that range he was in. It might have, actually. But either way, I could have gone out into something else and just started chipping Suicune down. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So I go for Nature's Madness, and it gets the Grumpig's HP down to half. And I click Moonblast because unless if he's like super especially bulky, he'll do about 25-30%, which is exactly how much we see it do. And he just goes for the Side Shock, which is fine. Gives a critical hit, but it didn't really matter. It still doesn't do that much. The best move he could have clicked was Energy Ball, and it still didn't do that much either way. So, the staying in and clicking Moonblast was pretty free. Here I expect him to switch out into Heatran or Nidoking, wanting to take the Moonblast. So I do click Surf here, as he does actually go out to his Nidoking, which is perfect, because I know this will do about 75 to 90% to him. And it'll bring him down really low, and we do see that it does about 90% to him, which is absolutely perfect. So here, I kind of had to decide what I want to go into. I was going back and forth between Jirachi and Gliscor. But I decided to go to Gliscor because I thought the Earth Power was more likely than the Ice Beam in the face of a Tapu Fini. And he does go for the Earthquake, or Earth Power, I'm sorry. So unless if he's Choice Scarfed, I outspeed, and even if he's Choice Scarfed, he's locked into Earth Power. As we do see, he's actually Choice Scarfed into Earth Power, which is perfect. And so I can actually just go for the U-turn here. I don't know if that was my best play. I feel like staying in would have, in hindsight, staying in would have been better. Because he was forced to go into Tornadus. Well, no. You'll see. It's actually not, but you'll see why later. So I U-turn out into my Tapu Fini. I get some leftovers recovery, get up my train again, as he doesn't really have anything that really wants to take on this. And he does just go out into the Tornadus. So I expect him to click like Hurricane or something like that, or either Hurricane or Sludge Wave. And Jirachi is good again, like can take both those. And even if he goes for E-Turn, he just goes down to Heatran, and we can just keep doing this over and over again. So he does go for the Hurricane, and he actually misses it, which is super unfortunate for him. Any chip on Jirachi is really good. I don't have like Wish Protect this week. So that was super unfortunate. It wouldn't have done that much, but it's still chip on Jirachi. As he does switch out into his Altaria here, and I just click U-turn. Iron Head would have been perfect, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. And so here, from the range he's at, I know I can go out into my Rabombi and click Moonblast. And it pretty much hits everything. And even if he goes down to his Heatran isn't really like, I don't really need Sticky Webs up, so I can sack this thing to Heatran and get a nice 10 power ground off, which will do about 50%. So I do just click Moonblast though. If it's a especially bulky Suicune, it'll do about like 30%. But if he's physically bulky, it'll do about 40 to 50%, and that's exactly how much we see it do. So at this point, I'm pretty much just thinking he's max physical defense. And with Train Up, I know he can't click Toxic, so I'm just gonna Quiver Dance. I know he has to go for Scald, but it won't burn anyways because I am Shield Dust and the Train's up. It does pretty much nothing after I did get that special attack drop off the Moonblast, which was pretty unfortunate for him. So here, I know the Train's gone, and if he has Toxic, he's clicking it here, but I thought I could just Quiver Dance again. Because if I Quiver Dance again after leftovers, it'll be close to KOing him with Moonblast. It would be a pretty high roll to have to get, but I thought it was worth it because if he doesn't have Toxic and I click another Quiver Dance, I pretty much win the game with a Rabombi right then and there. But he does show Toxic, and I do click Quiver Dance. So here I can just click Moonblast. And it's going to be doing a good chunk to this thing. It brings him super low, but it doesn't get the roll, unfortunately. That was a roll in its favor to live anyways, but it doesn't get the roll we wanted. And he just clicks Scald, which does like barely anything. He does get a little leftovers, and I do get Toxic damage. So here I know I can click him Power Ground in case he wants to switch out, but he's actually Toxic Protect, which was super interesting. I don't know why that was necessarily the set he brought this week, as I do have like Tapu Fini who can really wall that set. But you know, like I'm not complaining about it. And so here I know he can either go for the double protect or switch out. But I just decided, because I have one more turn of survival left. But I just decided to go for the Moonblast, as I did show him Power Ground last time, so I didn't think he'd want to go on to Heatran. As I showed out, I was willing to click it. So I just go for the Moonblast here. It would hit everything besides Heatran. And my Wask was down, but it does claim the KO on Grumpig, which was perfect. So here, after my Rabombi died, I know I can go right onto my Gliscor. It pretty much outspeeds everything and puts in the work. It doesn't outspeed the Tornadus, obviously. But so here we go. He goes on to the Altaria. And off the calcs, I know I outspeed this thing. And once he's Mega Evolved, I can click Earthquake. And he has to turn 1 Mega Evolve. I can just click Earthquake and knock this thing out for free. Unless he has some sort of priority move, but I don't think it gets any priority. So I do click Earthquake unless he's super bulky. We do click Earthquake, and we do pick up the KO, which was perfect. That was best case scenario right there. As we do get a little bit of the Poison Heal back. And we do see him go on to Tornadus. So at this point, I expect him to have Him Power Ice. But I thought, like, if he doesn't have Him Power Ice, my Gliscor pretty much cleans up the rest of this game. So I just decided to risk it, and Gliscor was pretty much fine to go down at this point anyways. And he does click Him Power Ice and does KO me, but it was fine. It was not big of a deal. As I can go on to my Greninja. I know I outspeed this thing unless if it's Scarfed, and I can just... I was going back and forth between clicking Surf and Poisonium Z. Because Surf was a roll in my favor to KO him, but I didn't want to risk the KO. So I just, here I just decided to click the Poisonium Z, as I was fairly certain he wouldn't go out into Heatran. So yeah, so here we're going to click the Poisonium Z, and the Suicune solo at this point, obviously it's going to KO. So we're just going to watch this animation go down. The acid downpour. So yeah, so we pick up the kill on the Suicune, which was absolutely perfect. And so from here, he goes back out into his Tornadus, and I was suspicious of this thing being scarfed. But even if he was scarfed, he would have to lock into Hurricane, and I'm gonna pause it. He would have had to lock into Hurricane, and at that point, like, it would have gone my Greninja. But I could go on to like my Finny or my Jirachi, and then like just kind of pivot around and just like I feel like even if this thing went down, it wasn't the end of the world, and I still had the tools to beat his team. So yeah, so I decided to stay in and just click Surf, as I know it'll get this thing, and if he decides to double out for some reason, it will get Heatran, and it's 100% accurate, better than Gunk Shot. So as we just saw, he was scarfed, but he did in fact miss his Hurricane, a second Hurricane miss, which is super unfortunate for him. As I am able just to click Surf here, and I know I'll KO this thing unless he's like crazy, especially bulky. But from this point, he's shown max special attack off the calc, so I didn't expect him to be bulky at all. So here, Heatran, unless if he's like Z Solar Beam or something like that, he can't really do anything. So I'm just going to click Surf. I know it won't KO unless if I'm +1, but it's totally fine. As it does bring him down to about 15%. He does just click the Earth Power, and even though I'm my special defense nature, I know I can live in Earth Power. And here I can just click Surf again and pick up the last KO of the game. So good game to RoseradeGod. Unfortunate about those the special attack drop on the Moonblast and the 2 Hurricane misses. No one likes to see those, even me. It's unfortunate that you missed those. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna head out. Subscribe if you're new. Do all that fun stuff. Like the video. Leave a comment down below saying how much you liked it or how much you hated the video. But anyways, guys, I will see you guys next week.